Welcome and thank you all for attending today. I'm calling the California Building Standards Commission meeting to order. It is 10:12 a.m., January 23rd, 2020. Pam, would you please call the roll?
Acting Secretary Lee.
Here.
Commissioner Klaus-Buckner.
Here.
Commissioner Mickelton.
Here.
Commissioner Sasaki.
Here.
Commissioner Patel.
Here.
Commissioner Santillan.
Here.
Commissioner Alegre.
Thank you, Pam. We do have a quorum for this meeting. Could everyone please rise as Commissioner Mickelton leads us in the Pledge of Allegiance? We have a digital flag, so pick your side.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I'd like to remind the public to please complete a request to address the commission form if you wish to comment on a specific agenda item. The form is buff in color and is available at the table located near the meeting room entrance. Please turn the completed form in to a CBSC staff person. Thank you. The teleconference phone number is provided on the front of the agenda and instructions are provided on the back page of the agenda. I will now read those instructions. All callers will begin in listen-only mode. If you wish to make a comment on a specific agenda item, please listen for the commission chair, me, to ask any comments from the public. At this time, please place yourself into the queue by pressing 1 and then 0 on your keypad. I will take any comments from participants in attendance first, and then we'll move on to participants on the telephone. When you press 1 and then 0, you will be notified when the speaker is ready for your question. To withdraw your question, press 1 and then 0. When it is your turn to comment, you will hear, "Please ask your question after the tone." A tone will sound and the caller is now in talk mode. I will continue through the call queue until there are no questions remaining. The commission will proceed to the next agenda item. Please refrain from pressing 1 and 0 multiple times, as doing this toggles your position in and out of the call queue. Press 1 and 0 only once and wait for your notification to speak. If possible, please call in from a landline using the telephone handset only. This enhances the commission's ability to hear your comments clearly. Calling from a speakerphone or a cell phone reduces the quality of the audio and makes it much harder for your comments to be heard clearly. I'd like to take a moment now and acknowledge 2 commissioners that have termed out. I'll read a brief history of their service and then we're going to mail them some plaques. So first of all, I would like to recognize Commissioner Steve Winkle, who served as the Architect Commission member for 19 years. He was originally appointed by Governor Gray Davis in 2000 and was reappointed many times over the years. His vast knowledge of the international code development process, application, and interpretation of the building standards, and a clear understanding of the California code adoption process has been an immense benefit to the Commission. Mr. Winkle served as Commission Vice Chair, a member of the Appeals Subcommittee and Code Adoption Subcommittee. Two of his noteworthy contributions are chairing the CBSC Green Building Committee in the mid-2000s to create a policy for the development of green building standards for California. This committee directed CBSC staff to develop green building standards for new construction of buildings under its authority. In the meeting, CBSC requested and encouraged several other state agencies to develop green building standards buildings under their authority. This effort resulted in the first in the nation Green Building Code. Additionally, Mr. Winkle served on a special exterior elevated element subcommittee assembled in response to the June 2015 Berkeley balcony failure. The purpose of this subcommittee was to review reports and other information regarding balcony failures and to possibly make regulatory or statutory recommendations. The legislative report resulted in emergency building standards to enhance safe construction of exterior balconies and stairs. California was greatly served by Commissioner Winkle's wise counsel and patient but diligent approach to the review and approval of building standards, and we thank him for his service to the state of California. Next, I'd like to recognize Commissioner Larry Booth. Commissioner Booth was appointed as the Licensed Contractor Commission member in 2014. The commission has greatly benefited from his vast knowledge operating a mechanical contracting company. Mr. Booth's experience overlaps with other desired commissioner qualifications, building operations, energy efficiency, and application of the building standards codes. Mr. Booth served on the Appeals Committee as well as a special committee to enhance the rewrite of the CBSC strategic plan. California was greatly served by his guidance and commitment to produce sensible and usable state building standards, and we thank him deeply for his service to the state of California. Agenda item 3A is selection of vice chair. Health and Safety Code section 18922 states the commission shall elect a vice chair annually from its members. Commissioner Winkle has served us well as vice chair for some time now, and now that he is termed out as a commissioner, a new vice chair must be selected. I will now open this item to the commission for discussion. Anyone?
Nobody speak all at once.
This is Commissioner Mickelton. I would like to nominate Commissioner Klaus-Buchner as Vice Chair.
Right. Does anyone want to second that nomination?
Don't. I was going to nominate Raj and Commissioner Patel and Commissioner Mickelton, actually, just because they have more experience in running a meeting than I do. I am really, really flattered, but you two seem to be the better candidates for that. I'm flattered and I would do it if you guys want me to, but I think I need a little bit more experience behind somebody else first. So I'd also like to nominate Mr. Patel and Mr. Mickelton.
Okay.
Commissioner Sasaki, I would second the nomination of Commissioner Patel. He's been a building official for a long time. He's the president of Calbo, so he's got lots of relevant experience.
Right. Does anyone else have any comments?
Comment?
All right.
Anybody else want to?
All right. Should we move on to comments from the audience?
Sure.
Okay. We will now take comments from members of the public on item 3A. At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 3A, the selection of vice chair, to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the members in the audience. Does anyone in the audience have a comment for agenda item 3A?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, this is Bob Raymer. Am I to understand Raj is being proposed for consideration?
Correct.
Okay. On behalf of the California Building Industry Association, we strongly support that. He's got an incredibly lengthy background in codes and code development, and so that fits very well with this. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments from the audience? All right, we'll now take comments from members of the public that are on the phone. Barbara, can you check and see if there's anyone on the phone for us? Okay, thanks for letting us know. We'll get that fixed. It's been fixed.
Thanks, Barb.
Can you hear now okay? Okay, got it. So that'll conclude the public comment portion. Thank you. I'll turn item 3A back over to the commissioners and entertain a motion at this time to consider the selection of Raj Patel as vice chair of the Building Standards Commission.
I make the motion to accept to nominate Raj Patel, Commissioner Patel, as the vice chair.
Thank you. And did we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that Raj Patel will be the vice chair of the Building Standards Commission. Is there any further discussion from the commissioners regarding this motion? Nope, hearing none. We will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, can you conduct the roll call?
Commissioner Klaus-Buckner,
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton,
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Legray.
All right, the vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm very flattered. Thanks for your confidence in me. Steve's has big shoes, so
He
it'll
does.
be tough to fill.
Yeah, yes, he does. So we'll move on. Agenda items 3B and C provide an opportunity for the commission to add or remove members and appoint a chair for each standing committee. The commission last selected and appointed members for its 2 standing committees back in April of 2018. Each committee may be comprised of 1 to 5 commissioners and meets on an as-needed basis. Item 3B, the Appeals Committee, is comprised of Steve Winkle, Larry Booth, and Kent Sasaki, who serves as chair of the Code Adoption Committee. Now that Steve and Larry have termed out, this is an opportunity for the commissioners to consider being a member of this committee. The purpose and responsibility of the Appeals Committee is to work with the Executive Director to determine the appropriate course to administer a valid appeal pursuant to the regulations in the California Administrative Code, Part 1 of Title 24. Do any other commissioners wish to serve on the Appeals Committee? And my second question would be, I want to make sure I get this in because this may affect what others say. Does Commissioner Sasaki want to continue as chair of the committee?
I do.
Okay, that's great. All right, and so let's get back to the first question. Do any other commissioners wish to serve on the Appeals Committee?
Commissioner Allegre wishes to serve on the committee.
All righty. Anyone else?
I'd be happy to
Okay,
if you guys need a third.
got it. Klaus Bruckner. All right. We will now take comments from the members of the public on item 3B. At this time, I would like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 3B, put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0, and we'll go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 3B, Appeals Committee members? Seeing none. We'll now take comments from member of the public on the phone. Barbara, are there any commenters on the phone? Thank you. So we'll entertain a motion to add Commissioners Allegre and Klaus Bruckner to the Appeals Committee. So the motion is made, and we're looking for a second. Or are we looking for the motion to be made?
Motion.
Commissioner Santillan makes a motion to accept the appointments to the committee.
Okay, and do we have a second?
Commissioner Patel seconds.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion from the commissioners regarding this motion? Hearing none, we'll now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. And if abstaining, please state this. Pam, can you call the roll?
Commissioner Klaus Buckner,
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton,
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Allegre.
Aye.
Unanimous.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. We'll move on to the next agenda item, Code Adoption Committee. This is agenda item 3C. The current Code Adoption Committee is comprised of Ellie Klaus Bruckner, Peter Santillan, Steve Winkle, and Raj Patel, who serves as chair of the Code Adoption Committee. Now that Steve Winkle has termed out, this is an opportunity for the commissioners to consider being a member of this committee. The purpose and responsibilities of the Code Adoption Committee are to identify means of improving the code adoption process, early participation in the model code process, and review and nominate members for the code advisory committees. Would any other commissioners like to serve on the Code Adoption Committee? And again, I'll ask first, would Commissioner Patel like to continue as chair of the committee?
I would.
Okay. Anyone else want to join?
Commissioner Mickelton, I'd be happy to serve.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So we'll now take comments from members of the public on item 3C. At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 3C to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0, and we'll go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 3C, the Code Adoption Committee members? Seeing none, we will take comments from members of the public on the phone. Are there any callers on the phone, Barbara? Thank you. So I'll entertain a motion to add Commissioner Mickelton to the Code Adoption Committee and the chair.
I'd like to make a motion to add Commissioner Mickelton to the committee, as well as continue with Commissioner Patel as the chair.
Thank you.
This is Ellie Klaus Bruckner.
Thank you. And do we have a second?
Commissioner Santillan, second.
Okay. It is moved and seconded that Commissioner Mickelton will be added to the Code Adoption Committee and Raj Patel will remain the chair. Is there any further discussion from the commission regarding this motion? Hearing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Klaus Buckner,
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton, Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan, Commissioner Allegre.
The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Thank you. The next agenda item is the review and approval of meeting minutes from the April 15th, 2019 meeting. This is agenda item 4A. Commissioners, do you have any comments regarding the April 15th, 2019 meetings? Minutes?
Was that the April 17, 2019 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Mistake on here.
April 17th.
Commissioner Sasaki, I have two comments. There appear to be two typos. If you go to page 15 and you go to the first, second, third paragraph down, and where the third paragraph is the one that starts with Commissioner Klaus Bruckner. If you go to that paragraph and then you go 3 sentences down, it says FEMA disaster versus a signal family unit. Signal should be single.
Yes, good catch. Thank you.
And versus should be versus spelled
US.
not a verse of a song, right? So with a U in there. The second item is the next page, page 16 at the top. And you probably have to, if we read the ongoing sentence at the top, it says sections and then motion number 3 would be to amend, and it says on thing, comma, the definition of unsafe. I believe that the words on thing, comma, should be deleted so that the new sentence would read sections and then motion number 3 would be to amend the definition of unsafe. You may have to
We can check that.
Okay.
check that. Anyway, those are my two comments.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, I will entertain a motion on the April 17th, 2019 meeting minutes.
Commissioner Patel, move to approve the April 17th minutes.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Commissioner Klaus Bruckner, second.
It is moved and seconded that the April 17th, 2019 meeting minutes be accepted with amendments. Is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, will you call the roll?
Commissioner Klaus Buckner,
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton,
Abstain.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Allegre.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous except for Commissioner Mickelton, who abstained. The motion is carried. Our next agenda item is 4B, review and approval of the July 17th, just double check the date, 2019 meeting minutes. Commissioners, do you have any comments regarding the July 17th, 2019 meeting minutes? All right, I will entertain a motion on the July 17th, 2019 meeting minutes.
Commissioner Mickelton, move to approve.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Sasaki, second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that the July 17th, 2019 meeting minutes be accepted without amendment. Is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Seeing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, please call the roll call vote.
Commissioner Klausbuckner,
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton,
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki,
Aye.
Commissioner Patel,
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan,
Aye.
Commissioner Legray.
The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. Thank you. Agenda item 5 is comments from the public on issues not on this agenda. Comments regarding items not on this agenda may be briefly discussed, but no action may be taken by the commission. At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 5 to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for the commission on items not on this agenda? Do we have any speaker cards?
Not on this agenda item.
Okey doke. Please state, well, we can skip that, no one's standing there. Are there any other members of the audience that wish to speak? None. We will now take comments from public members on the phone. Barbara, please check the phone for commenters on agenda item 5. Thank you. All right, this concludes agenda item 5. The next item on the agenda is item 6, Code Advisory Committee's appointments. We'll start with item 6A, the Accessibility Committee. At this time, I'll ask Michael Neerman, Deputy Director of the California Building Standards Commission, to provide an overview of the Code Advisory Committee selection process and the need for another fire official accessibility CAC member.
Good morning. Thank you, Acting Secretary Lee and Commissioners. I'm Michael Neerman, Deputy Director for the Building Standards Commission, and I'll be doing an overview of item number 6. Before I start, because item 6 is broken into 3 sub-items, I'll pause after each of the sub-items to allow Commission's process to take place. It's not uncommon during intervening code adoption cycles to have fewer proposals submitted to the Commission than we normally see in a triennial. And this is mainly due to the lack of model code adoption during the intervening cycles. The agencies will typically address statutory changes and any other regulatory changes that they're aware of that need to be picked up during the intervening cycles. So they tend to have fewer packages. As an example, our last triennial had somewhere around 70 rulemaking packages submitted, and in this intervening, we have just shy of 30 packages. This process with the fewer packages usually results in the need for ad hoc committees to be formed. Ad hocs are a combination of 2 standing committees simply for the fact that enough material wasn't submitted to justify bringing all those members in for a very short meeting, trying to save some expense and be more efficient in our process. So with that, for the 2019 intervening cycle, we've combined 4 of the standing code advisory committees into 2 ad hoc committees. The makeup of those ad hoc committees are mainly based on the content of the regulations that the agency submitted for this cycle. I'll touch on that briefly as we get into it. The first ad hoc committee is a combination of the Green Building Standards Committee and the Plumbing, Electrical, Mechanical, and Energy Committee. These committees tend to address very similar provisions in Title 24, and so it made sense for us to pull those together. Additionally, the submittals received from the agencies really didn't constitute the need for a full PME committee, so we blended that with the Green and ended up with that ad hoc. The second ad hoc committee that was formed for this cycle is a combination of the Building, Fire, and Other Committee and the Structural Design Lateral Forces Committee. Those committees were combined mainly for the content of the agency's submittals addressing tall wood and mass timber construction. There was a governor's order previously that was issued looking to increase the use of wood materials and wood construction and other products. So the agencies were aware that the model code has developed regulations for tall wood and mass timber for the 2021 IBC, and in California that code won't become our base code and effective until January 1 of 2023. So as a stopgap for the interim, the agencies have proposed the regulations from the model code into California's code as amendments in the hopes of getting those provisions in place and functioning earlier than the 2023 date. The remaining committees, the two Access Code Advisory Committee and Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee, are as originally configured and were not part of the ad hoc configuration. However, there were a couple other things that happened in those committees that we'll touch on as I get through this process. Just behind tab 6, you'll see that there are reference materials, including a listing of the Code Advisory Committee ad hoc configurations we did for this cycle, as well as the existing CAC membership from the initial CAC formulation from the Code Adoption Committee back in February of 2018. Those references are there, so as you make your selections, you can see the full makeup of the full 6 committees prior to making your decisions. One fire official informed us, as we prepared for the 2019 cycle, we were notified that there were a couple of CAC members that would not be able to join us for this cycle. One is a fire official that informed us that he was retiring, and unfortunately for BSC, he was a fire official for the Access Committee, the PME Committee, or Plumbing, Electrical, Mechanical Energy, and the Green Building Standards Committee. So for all intent and purposes, we lost 3 fire official positions. Now, fortunately, on the other side, the formulation of the Green and the PME committees put 2 of those fire officials into one committee, an ad hoc, so we were able to get down to just needing 2 fire officials. So the result of that process was a call for application. We put out for 30 days an additional request for fire official positions for the positions that we've discussed. We did receive a total of 8 applications from various individuals who are interested in serving on that committee or those committees. Of those, we received a number of applicants for the Access Code Advisory Committee fire official position. But of those, only one that applied was actually qualified as a fire official. That material is included in your folder under the tab 6A. This person also applied for the fire position for the Green PME CAC, and you'll see that as we get into that item. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions the Commission has on item 6A.
All right, now that we've heard Michael's recap of the process and reviewing the fire official applications for the Accessibility Code Advisory Committee, I'll turn this over to the commissioners for discussion.
Commissioner Sasaki, so Michael, essentially we just have one qualified applicant, Ms. Chung.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Commissioner Patel, in reviewing the applications and looking at the interest that the candidates have indicated, I would suggest that we think about putting Janice Chung on the Accessibility Committee as the fire member and Jeff Halpert on the Ad hoc Green and PME Committee as the fire official member. There was one applicant.
We're not doing just accessibility right now?
Yes.
This one is Accessibility Code Advisory Committee.
Yeah, I just wanted to share the whole picture because I know that there's 2 candidates you could put.
Okay.
Jeff indicated his interest was in Green and PME.
Yes. He did.
And Janice indicated her interest was in both. So my suggestion would be to put Janice on Access and then have Jeff Halpert be on the
But
Green and
it's
PME.
not a
vote
vote
on
right
that.
now, it's just a discussion. Sorry.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Good to continue?
We have to. So now that the commissioners have discussed item 6A, we can go out if there's any public comment, and then we can come back and do a motion just for 6A, and then we'll go on to 6B.
Thank you.
Yeah?
Okay. This time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 6A to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 6A, the Accessibility Code Advisory Committee fire official? Right. Seeing none, we will take comments from public members on the phone. Barbara, please check the phone for commenters on agenda item 6A. All right, that concludes the public comment portion, so I'll turn item 6A back over to the commission and entertain a motion to select a fire official for the Accessibility Code Advisory Committee.
So at this time, Commissioner Patel, I'd like to make a motion to appoint Janice Chung as the fire official member on the Accessibility Committee.
Commissioner Santillan, second that motion.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that Janice Chung be selected as the fire official. Is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, please call the roll.
Commissioner Klaus-Buckner?
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton?
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki?
Aye.
Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Legray?
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried.
Thank you, Secretary. Thank you, Secretary. I'll go on for item tab 6B. We also received a number of applications for the Green PME Ad Hoc Code Advisory Committee Fire Official position. Similar to the access, of the applicants received, only 2 were qualified fire officials. The Green PME applications are included in the back of your binder, and one is Ms. Chung, as well as the other individual, Halpert, I believe it is, will be the 2 that you'll be able to select from. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the Commission for motion.
Thank you. Now that we've heard Mike's recap of the fire official applications for the Green PEME Code Advisory Committee, I'll turn this over to the commissioners for discussion.
So this is Commissioner Patel. I'd like to make a motion to add Jeff Halpert from Glendale as the fire official to the Ad Hoc Number 1 Combined Green and PME Committee. Jeff's done a terrific job in Glendale, and he's very knowledgeable.
Very enthusiastic.
Is he? Yeah, he's a good guy.
Okay. Any other discussion on this? All right. At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 6B to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 6B, the Green PEME Code Advisory Committee Fire Official? All right. We will now take comments from the public members on the phone. Barbara, please check the phone for commenters on agenda item 6B. Thank you. That concludes the public comment portion, so I will turn item 6B back over to the commission and entertain a motion to select a fire official for the Green PEME Code Advisory Committee.
So I guess I was a little ahead of time.
That's all right.
This is Commissioner Patel. I'd like to nominate Jeff Halpert to fill the fire official position on the Ad Hoc Combined Green and PME Committee.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Sasaki, second.
Thanks. Is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, please call the roll call vote.
Commissioner Klaus-Buckner?
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton?
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki?
Aye.
Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Legray?
Aye.
All right, the vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is item 6C, Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee Chair. Michael, will you please provide a quick overview of the need for a Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee Chair?
Yes, thank you, Secretary. I also wanted to give a little context just to the health facilities in general, because there were a few things that happened during the call for application, and that's why we're talking about this in detail. Initially, the sitting fire protection engineer for the Health Facilities Committee had informed us that she was considering taking a job at University of California, Davis, thus creating the need for a fire official position. which was part of why we went out for the application process in the beginning. However, after issuing the call for application, we heard back from the individual who decided that the job wasn't going to work out and that they were staying in their current position and they wanted to continue to operate as a fire protection engineer for the Health Facilities Committee. We were pleased to hear that, so we went ahead and allowed that. And that's part of the reason for describing this today was a number of the people who applied during the call for additional application had applied for the Health Facilities Fire official position. So we wanted to give a little context to that. Additionally, while we were informed that the chairperson of the Health Facilities Committee had taken a job with one of the state agencies. Therefore, that person could not serve as a chair or as a voting member of that Code Advisory Committee anymore. So that's the reason for tab 6C. The contents of tab 6C are all the current applications for the sitting Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee members. And those are included, so it'll help you in your selection for the new chair. With that, I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Okay, thank you. After hearing Michael's recap and reviewing the health facilities existing member applications, I'll turn this over to the commissioners for discussion.
Commissioner Sasaki, I reviewed all the applications. They're all very qualified folks. I guess what I did is I don't believe I know any of them. So really, I was just going based on what was presented in their applications. You know, I did some rankings by myself, ranking the whatever top 3. So, and it seemed to me my top candidate was Bill Zellmer, AIA. He, I guess, fills the skilled nursing facilities representative, and it looks like he, as a former OSHPD reviewer and then an actual consultant, he has a long history of healthcare and healthcare code experience.
This is Commissioner Mickerton. I also reviewed them and found that Bill Zellner seemed to have a good balance of extensive experience in accessibility and healthcare, and I'd like to suggest that we consider him.
Anyone else? All right, this time I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 6C to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 6C, the selection of a chair for the Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee? And we do have one speaker card, so I'd like to call those commenters up first. Mr. Bill Zellner. Mr. Bill Zellner.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm Bill Zellmer. I work for Sutter Health. As was noted earlier, I used to work at OSHPD, so I'm pretty deeply involved with the code requirements of healthcare facilities, both inpatient and outpatient. Of course, we have an obvious interest in making sure that the codes keep up with the increasingly quick pace of healthcare. So I'd like to offer myself to be chair of the committee. Second quick issue, I'm representing the skilled nursing facilities officially because at the time I applied years back, the acute care position was already filled. It would be a better fit if I filled the acute care position. I suppose that's not that big of a deal, but there it is. Any questions that I could answer?
Any commission members have any questions? No? All right.
No, but I do thank you for coming and,
Yes,
and
thank
expressing your interest. That means a lot to us.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Are there any other members of the audience that wish to speak on this item?
My name is Mike Milanowski. I'm here representing the American Institute of Architects, California. I'd like to speak in favor of Mr. Zellmer. I know him personally. He's a member of our organization, well-known and respected architect in the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anyone else? All right, we'll now take comments from the public members on the phone. Barbara, can you check the phone for commenters on agenda item 6C? All right. All right, thank you, Mr. Oliver. All right, thank you for your public comments. That concludes the public comment portion, so I will turn item 6C back over to the commission and entertain a motion to select a chair for the Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee.
Commissioner Sasaki makes a motion to select Bill Zellmer as the chair of the Health Facilities Code Advisory Committee.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Mickelton, second.
Thank you. It is moved and seconded that Bill Zellmer be the selected chair for the Health Facilities Advisory Committee. Is there any further discussion regarding this motion? Hearing none, we will now have a roll call vote. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this. Pam, please call the roll call vote.
Commissioner Klaus-Buckner?
Aye.
Commissioner Mickelton?
Aye.
Commissioner Sasaki?
Aye.
Commissioner Patel?
Aye.
Commissioner Santillan?
Aye.
Commissioner Legray?
Aye.
Thank you. The vote is unanimous and the motion is carried. And thank you, Mr. Zellmer, for your willingness to participate in this way. Appreciate it.
Secretary, if I may, I had
Yes, sir.
one final statement I would like
Yes.
to make, and just to the public in relationship to this process.
Thank you.
As a final note, the Executive Director of the Building Standards Commission and myself wanted to extend our appreciation to those that did apply at the last minute. It was a short call for application, and we had quite a response. And so we really appreciate the interest and the attempt. The willingness for volunteers to provide their time is admirable, and it's one of the key elements that make this process really work. So we just wanted to thank everybody personally.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Next on the agenda is item 7. Executive Director Mir Maravelli will provide an overview of commission business.
Great, thank you. I'll just provide a quick overview of the process and where we are, and some education and outreach efforts that we've had. As you all know, the 2019 edition of Title 24 went into effect January 1 of this year. And with that, we've received a number of ordinances, and I'll talk about that in a minute. We will be, or the publishers, I should say, will be issuing erratas. So the International Code Council, IAPMO, and NFPA all are issuing erratas for the various parts of Title 24. Those should be in your hands by the end of the month or early February. If you haven't registered your publication, please do, because that is a way for you to receive the erratas and future supplements automatically. Those do not come from the Building Standards Commission. They come directly from the publishers. We would also very much like to thank the staff of all the publishers, because the development of the code is a huge undertaking, and they work very hard to get them published on time. And then they also work very hard to issue these erratas. So we really appreciate all their hard work and great communication with them this cycle. When the new codes are published, the local jurisdictions begin processing and developing their local ordinances to make the codes either more restrictive or add on regulations in their community. They're not required to all submit an ordinance. They are required if they modify the code. So up until now, we've received approximately 165 jurisdictions. That is really, there's more ordinances. Each jurisdiction can supply more than one ordinance. So I think we have somewhere in the nature of 200 documents that we're reviewing. We've responded to about 88 local jurisdictions with letters, and most of them have been posted on our website. I want to make a note that The ordinance number is posted on our website. It is not a live link, and that is due to the fact that many of the documents we receive are via email, and are scanned documents. They're quite lengthy. Some of them are a couple hundred pages. And so they're not intelligent PDFs, if you will. So we cannot provide a live link to a non-accessible document. So that's the reason for having just the code or the ordinance number on our website. So what we have some information on our website that allows you to either send us an email or give us a call and let us know if you need a copy of that ordinance. The 2019 intervening code cycle is already ramping up. This will produce a supplement which will be published January 1 of 2021, and that will go into effect July 1 of 2021. The Building Standards Commission staff received approximately 30 rulemaking packages in December. We've been processing those and reviewing those and getting them ready for the various code advisory committee meetings, which is why we needed to have fire officials added to some of those committees. Our rulemaking webpage has a link to all the dates that we tentatively have scheduled. We're actually noticing the accessibility meeting tomorrow. That meeting, I don't have the dates here, that meeting's in a couple weeks. All the rulemaking materials will be available on our website as of tomorrow afternoon. And again, these are going to be held February through March. And then shortly after that, we begin the 45-day public comment period, which will occur probably in April and May. And then you all will receive these rulemakings in July for review and approval in July. So we're looking at a 2-day meeting in July, but I think we need to probably assess that and decide if we need to have maybe 3 days, depending on the number of packages and how the Code Advisory Committee meetings go. So education and outreach. We've talked over the past about some of the videos that we've issued that complement the guides that we've issued. So due to the need to have everything accessible on our webpage, all the guides have been updated and they are an accessible free PDF format that can be downloaded. The view hits on some of the videos are up to 1,200, 1,300 hits on some of our videos. So we think that that is a great venue to get the word out. And those are short videos. They're maybe 10 to 15 minutes in length, and they complement the guides. The guides provide more in-depth information if you need them. The videos are about Title 24, about the California Building Standards Commission, and about our rulemaking process. We also have a video we did with Stuart Tom and CalBO and ICC for the ordinance code adoption process. So that's everything I have to offer. Do you have any questions? Okay.
All right. This item is open for commission discussion. So no questions. At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak on item 7 to put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0. We will go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have comments for agenda item 7, the executive director report? All right. Seeing none, are there any other members of the audience? We will now take comments from public members on the phone. Barbara, please check the phone for commenters on agenda item 7. All right. That concludes the public comment portion, so I will turn item 7 back over to the commission for discussion. There is no action required of the commission.
Commissioner Sasaki, just I think it's a great thing to have those videos and other modern ways to communicate to stakeholders. I think it's great. They can click on it, listen to it at whenever it's convenient for them. So it's a nice way using technology to get information out. So kudos to the staff.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Nice. Can I just add on something? Yeah. It has been really helpful, and what it does is it reminds us to look at things a little differently and we have some new staff on board who've really enhanced the materials that we provide. And then additionally, and I forgot to mention this, we're actually getting ready to launch About Cal Green as well. So it'll be a video that complements the non-residential portion of the Cal Green Guide. That's our 5th video. And then we haven't really picked a title for the next one, so we're probably going to do like a little survey in our next newsletter to say, hey, what all would be helpful for our constituents. So, but thank you very much. It's a lot of hard work, and we kind of weave it into the rest of the work that we have, but it's great. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Michael?
I also, just to dovetail onto that, there, I believe the 7th of February, there is a green sustainability forum. And Enrique from our staff and myself will be doing some introductions and some overview of the green process. And so anybody that wants to attend should watch the website for that information. And we can get you more detailed information on it if you're interested in attending. So.
Thank you.
I had one comment, Commissioner Patel. Yes. It was a great resource actually having all those code adoption packages on the Building Standards Commission website. It was nice to be able to go to one place and be able to see what a jurisdiction's amendments were. And I realize the reasons that we can't do it now. Are we letting the jurisdictions know that maybe they would, if we encourage them to post it on their website, so that when we're looking around for different amendments for the public, they're able to kind of find those?
I do know that when in the video that we provided and in the guide that we provided and the information bulletin we provided, we requested that they supply a readable PDF. There isn't anything that mandates that at this point in time. I did mention at several venues that they may need to look in if they need to make that accessible on their website. I don't know. I thought most of the local jurisdictions have it on their website, but that's a great question because I don't know in our letter back to them if we say anything about that. So
okay, it might just be a suggestion, and even for the public that's listening at chapter meetings, we can remind your local jurisdictions that it would be very helpful if they posted there because they're not going to be on the Building Standards Commission websites. Thank you.
All right. Next on the agenda is item 8, future agenda items. Do any of the commissioners have items they wish to have placed on future agendas? All right. Does anyone from the public have items they wish to have placed on future agendas? At this time, I'd like to remind the public who are on the phone and wish to speak, put yourself in the queue now by pressing 1 and then 0, and we'll go to the phone after we hear from the audience. Does anyone from the audience have items they wish to have placed on future agendas? Alrighty. We will now take comments from members of the public on the phone. Barbara, please check the phone for comments on item 8. All right, thank you. That concludes the public comment portion, so I will turn item 8 back over to the commission for discussion. If there are no future items to be added to the agenda, we will move on. I will enter. Moving on. Next agenda item is adjournment. This concludes the California Building Standards Commission meeting. I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Commissioner Sasaki, motion to adjourn.
Do I have a second?
Commissioner Santillan, second.
It is moved and seconded that we adjourn. Commissioners in favor, please indicate by stating aye. Those opposed, please indicate by stating no. If abstaining, please state this.
Aye.
Aye.
They didn't tell me to ask you. We'll just do it ourselves. You're not irrelevant, Pam. All right, thank you all. This meeting is adjourned.